Hi everyone, today we're going to be covering the transactional model of communication and the 8 essential components of communication. Let's get started. First things first, we need a source of our message. That's somebody who has something to say to someone. That something that they have to say is the message. Here is our message. For the purpose of this example, let's say that our source is a supervisor at work, and our message is that our employee needs to put their phone away while they're on the clock. Well, our employee then is the receiver of the message. There are several different ways that our supervisor could go about telling the employee that they need to put their phone away. That process of deciding what words to use, the channel to use, what kind of tone to use, that's all the process of encoding the message. So our supervisor encodes that message, but then our employee has to decode that message and figure out what the supervisor meant by that. Do I have to put my phone away always? Can I have it when there aren't customers around? Are you mad at me? Am I getting in trouble? Or is this a playful thing? Hey, put your phone away. That's the job of the receiver, to decode what the source meant. Once our employee figures out what they think the source meant by what they said, they're gonna give feedback, which is the exact same process here, but with a new message. Now you can see we have our feedback here, the new message that was encoded and then decoded. Now, simple, right? That message is going back and forth from person to person. Yes, but this is all happening within an environment, a big old environment that's both psychological, the environment of the people in the interaction's head, but also the physical environment. What room are they in? Is it hot or cold? Is the room big or small? Is one person seated and one person standing? All of those things play a role in the physical environment. But we also have the psychological environment. Is one of the people in the interaction really upset that day? Did they oversleep, not get their morning coffee, and are just in a grumpy mood? Or could someone be dealing with some kind of mental health concern? Maybe they're feeling depressed, and so everything comes across as though they're getting in trouble, or it's just another thing they did wrong. Or maybe they have an attention issue that makes it hard for them to focus on messages that are coming in. Those are all things that contribute to the environment of the message. Environment is different than the context. So context would be a totally other part of our transactional model. Context has to do with our expectations for what's going on in the communication environment. What is the context? Well, we could have a historical context. So maybe this organization has a history of supervisors always being on top of their employees. So that would add context for our employee to think maybe I'm just getting in trouble like everyone else. The last part of our transactional model of communication is interference. And that is all the stuff that gets in the way, that makes it so that the message is changed after it's sent or is not received after it's sent. So the biggest one we're all dealing with right now, the biggest point of interference, is masks. It's hard to hear people sometimes. We can't see them enunciating. Their voice gets a little bit muffled. It makes it hard for us. So that is a huge point of interference. Other forms of interference include noisy cars passing by, bells dinging. It could be a text message on your phone that shifts your attention away from the speaker. Anything that gets in your way of hearing, listening to, decoding, and processing the message, or gets in the way of the source being able to formulate the message and send it to the other person, is interference. It gets in the way, like in football. Interference, pass interference. Now you know the 8 components of the transactional model of communication. Those being the source, the receiver, the message, the environment, the context, and then the interference. Interference, getting in your way of getting the message. And I like to add the process of encoding and decoding. Encoding the feedback and decoding the feedback. Thanks for watching.